So, very good morning, and thank you to all for accepting our invitation for a good cause. So, today, if we talk about the journey of Nigerian agriculture, so we see long back in 60s, the Nigerian agriculture was the major earner or a major source for foreign exchange. So that was till 60. Nigeria was the world largest, something like a recognized player in agriculture industry, and were the largest exporter and producer of a palm oil. Not only that, in 60s, Nigeria was contributing around 47 to 50% of a total groundnut export. They were the largest producer of a tomato in Western African country. So that was a one phase when the focus was on agriculture between something of around till 60 and 70s. The agriculture were in a really good focus, and later the oil entered in Nigeria. The first oil exploration started somewhere 70 and 80, and the focus gradually shifted on the oil industry. Despite of a continuous effort, if we today see again the contribution in GDP of oil is not even close to agriculture. So still the agriculture is the prime contributor for Nigerian GDP. Having said that, I like to highlight here the difference between other countries and Nigerian agriculture is majorly, if we see, the development of agriculture was put on a hold. So there are scenarios where the exploitation or exploration of agriculture is on a peak or extreme, but in Nigeria is still the development or exploitation or exploration of agriculture was put on a hold the moment oil was entered in the economy. So the advantage here is we have an opportunity to restart. We have an option of regaining what we left in somewhere 60s and 70s. So the question comes that how we all as a community who is really concerned and contributing for the agriculture are worried, and they are putting their effort for ensuring the sustainable long-term development. So as we are here to just brainstorm around how and what we should do for ensuring Nigerian agriculture development, and with a special emphasis on fertilizer product with a higher use efficiencies and the product which can ensure balanced crop nutrition. So on behalf of Indorama Nigeria as well as in West Africa, I welcome all the participants and expect a fruitful discussion and contribution for setting up our own strategy. So without taking much of a time, I request Dr. S.K. Srivastava, who is heading our marketing division in Nigeria, to introduce that what Indorama as a responsible corporate is doing for the development of a Nigerian agriculture, as well as little contribution for Western African countries. So over to S.K.
Hi everyone, good morning to all of you. It's really very exciting for everyone to talk on different strategies we are planning to adopt, and need your assistance, need your support, so that what Dr. Parveen was saying, that Nigeria, I consider Nigeria as a gold mine. It is only up to us then how much we can harvest from the Nigeria. There are a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential in Nigeria in agriculture sector, in all sectors, not only in the fertilizer. If you talk about the seeds, you talk about the agrochemicals, you talk about the different, all the segments, Nigeria has the huge potentials. and what we are doing, what we are getting from the Nigerian soil is not up to the mark. So we would like to have a very small presentation, very brief presentation, that what Indorama is doing and what is expected. So I would like to share one presentation. I'll talk about something about the Nigeria. This is our first slide. What we understand about the Nigeria. In fact, Dr. Parveen explained and very well that in past Nigeria agriculture was very good, in very good shape, but currently, yeah, we are improving. We are improving, but still there is a lot of opportunity to grow in the Nigeria in agriculture field. If you see the data, that Nigeria, the population is very high. Population is more than 200 million, and it's growing very fast at the rate of 2.6%. That is the highest in the world. So we can imagine that how will feed a population of Nigeria. It is estimated by 2050 the Nigerian population would be around more than 400 million. So it's very big challenge. It is not only challenge for Nigerian people, but it is a very good high challenge for the government, the NGOs, the private companies, corporate, all have a big challenge that how we are going to feed the Nigerian population, because population is growing. So, but at the same time, if you see the data for the area available for cultivation, there is huge opportunity to grow. Out of the 92 million hectare of the geographical area, only 34 million hectare is under cultivation. It means there is very huge scope. Farmers have scope to extend their farmland. The major issue here is the farmers are very, very small. They have hardly 1 hectare of land. So that's very small. We need to work very specifically for the smallholder farmers. If you see the fertilizer consumption in the country, in 2020 was the first year we are almost touching to 1 million urea consumption. And if you add the NPK also, it is around 1.7, 1.8 million ton of fertilizer consumption in the country. So it means the fertilizer consumption is growing. Farmers are adopting the fertilizer. Farmers are increasing the number of bags used in for their cultivation. But as I earlier mentioned, that potential is very high. As per our estimates, the Nigerian demand potential is around 3.3 million. So that is also very huge potential available, but it is up to us that how we can move, how we can utilize how we can grow in this huge potential market. So what Indorama contribution, how we progressed in increased potential, enhanced market size of in Nigeria. Basically, we started our operation. We started our operation in 2016 with very limited number of our distribution network. But with the time we grow very efficiently, and currently we are serving with around 450 number of agro dealers all across the country. So with the strengthening our network, we try to reach each and every corner of the Nigeria. Nigeria has 36 states. There are some states where the movement is restricted, but in other states, about 32, 34 states, we have our network all across the Nigeria. So with the strengthening our dealer network, we are trying to make available urea to all farmers. So the farmers, the major issue in Nigeria is the access to the farmers. So now urea is available everywhere. So farmers don't have any issue in terms of availability. So this efficient distribution network helps Nigerian farmers to get the urea at their doorstep. And how we are reaching to different places, different market. So we have different marketing zones like North Central Zone, Northwest Zone, South Zones, and we have our marketing network. There are marketing executives. They are assisting to the agro dealers. They are assisting to the retailers to help them to make urea available. So we are widely spread in terms of serving to the customers. not only the farmers, but also the agro dealers. With this slides, you can see that our spread is all across the Nigeria. So as earlier I mentioned that we started our, we commissioned our urea plant in June 2016. In the first 6 months, we sold around 213,000 metric ton of Indorama granular urea. But within a 5 year, you can see with this slides that we grown significantly. And this year in 2020, we closed about near to 1 million urea supplies all across. It means farmers are using urea fertilizers. It is not only urea, but NPK also. So market is growing. It means the adoption is fast. That is very much clear from this slide. So how we are engaging farmers? So we have a very strong network, strong manpower network for more than about 60 agronomists, trained agronomists. They are all professionals. They are spread all across the Nigeria. They are trying to help the farmers. They are trying to aware the farmers about how to use the farmers fertilizer in the best management, best manner. So we have a wide network, wide spread of our agronomists. They are helping, they are reaching to the farmers, and they are making aware about the use of fertilizer. It is not only fertilizer, but the complete package of practice, starting from the land preparation, use of the good seeds, how we can use the fertilizer in the best possible manner, and other cultural practices. So this helping a lot to the farmers that they are using the inputs in a best possible manner to get the best outcome from their farm. If you see these slides, we started our operation in 2016, and we at the same time we have started various agronomic activities in the country with the objective to make aware about the best use of the cultural practices, best fertilizer application, and other cultural operation. So, and we are doing various kind of activities like soil testing analysis, field demonstrations, small meetings, big meetings, the farm days, individual farm visits. So if you see the data about the data is from the 18 to 20, we have covered directly about 700,000 metric ton, 700,000 farmers. But indirectly, we have covered more than 1 million farmers. So we are very much closer to the farmers with through the different kind of activities. So in Nigeria, our overall strategy is the delivering values. How we are going to deliver these values? That we are serving to the customer to our best ability. Whatever the ability we have the good manpower, we have the trained agronomist. So with the best ability, we are trying to serve the Nigerian customers, Nigerian farmers. And how we can do that? If we are capable, but farmers are not capable. So we are trying to build their capability also in terms of a proper education. That's why we are doing a series of training programs in the villages. The objective of those training programs is to educate them, to tell them the right package of practices, the good management practices, how they can use the best seeds, how they can use the best fertilizer, what is the good method of the fertilizer, how they can use all these practices so that they can get the optimum yield from their farmland. And we are also trying to collaborate, a collaborative approach to develop the efficient fertilizer products. Because we know that if we use the fertilizer, if you just take the example of urea or NPK or any other fertilizer, the efficiency is very poor. Hardly it is, farmers are getting only 30 to 40% of the nutrient from the products they are using. So what are the how we can collaborate with different institutions to increase the fertilizer efficiency? That's very important, because farmers are using less number of bags, means less fertilizer, and out of that 60% of the nutrient is going waste. So what are those methods, what are those processes where we can increase the fertilizer use efficiency which farmers are using? So ultimately we are helping to the farmers, we are trying to help to the farmers so that they can use the product with best nutrient use efficiency. With this approach, we can ensure the high return from the per unit land of the farmers they are having. Because farmers are using good, suppose the farmers are using good seeds, but farmers are not using the fertilizer in a proper manner, or they are not concerned about its efficiency. So whatever they are investing in their land, it is not properly utilized. So now it is a time to work on the fertilizer use efficiency, how efficiently the fertilizer may be used in their land. So this is the area where we need to work, we need to collaborate and try to find out such products which is having the highest, more fertilizer use efficiency. It may be the coated fertilizer, it may be the neem coated, it may be some other new micronutrient coated, but now time has come that we have to work, we have to collaborate on this aspect appropriately. And ensuring high return per unit area is only possible if the farmers are using the inputs in a proper way, in an efficient manner. That is only this approach is going to success. And delivering is the quality fertilizer is our strategy. We don't compromise our quality. If you see the quality parameter of Indorama granular urea, it meets all the international parameters, having 1% barrett, having all the parameters we are following. So with these strategies, we are very sure, and with the help and with the supports of all the stakeholders in the fertilizer value chain, and with the supports of the eminent scientists, eminent NGOs and the government, we are very sure that in the near future, the farmers of Nigeria is going to be benefited, and with the use of efficient fertilizers, and where the fertilizer use efficiency is high, we are definitely going to be successful in terms of high profit and high yield from Nigerian soil. Thanks a lot. There are some pictures I want to show here. This we are doing various kind of activities, like some media, outdoor campaigns. A purpose of all these activities is to educate the farmers. Like we do the radio talk show. Here we explain to the farmers that how they can grow the good crop. Like trade meetings, through the training to the retailers, training to the agro dealers, we communicate various kind of educational programs there. So these are the pictures, like branding and promotional activities we are doing, and making sure that our urea is available in all across the country. So various kind of, we are trying to take the feedback from the agro dealers, from the customers, to include their suggestions in our strategies. Thanks for your attention.
Hey, thank you, SK. We at this platform have different stakeholders. So we have people from educational institutions, we have people from international organizations, we have an expert who can share that his learning from India. So because we need to be very smart while developing our strategy. So Dr. SK has shared that what we are, our understanding about Nigeria, and what we are aspired to achieve, and how we want to just reach to a common goal. I'm sure that everybody will agree that the ultimate goal is how to deliver value to our Nigerian growers, the farmer. So now we will hear from Dr. Chude, who is well-known face, and he has really contributed for Nigerian agriculture, and continuously he is contributing for the development of a Nigerian agriculture, and he is the person behind the fertilizer policy. When the government of Nigeria implemented recently the fertilizer policy also to regulate and to control the malpractices in fertilizer industry. So I will request Dr. Chude to share his thought process on what we are thinking about ensuring a product with a higher use efficiency, and even the product which can supply the balanced crop nutrition, and ultimately the Nigerian agriculture development is the ultimate goal what we are looking for. So over to Professor today. We want to just hear you a vast experience in the field of this agriculture. Over to you, Dr. Today.
Thank you, Dr. Pravin. I want to thank Indorama for inviting me to this virtual meeting to discuss the Nigerian agriculture. According to the program, Pravin said I should be talking about Nigerian prospect of agricultural development. But I can see you now asking me to speak on how the nutrient use efficiency of inputs, particularly fertilizer, can be improved upon so that farmers will get value for their investment. Okay, so where do you want me to start? Right, let me talk briefly about the prospects of Nigeria, agriculture in Nigeria as contained in the program. Then I will now come and address some of those issues you've just raised now. What is the importance of agriculture? A strong and efficient agricultural sector has the capacity to enable the country to feed its growing, teeming population and foreign exchange, generate employment, and provide raw materials for local industries. The agricultural sector has the potential to be the industrial and economic platforms for which the speedy development of a country can take off, a fulcrum for the taking off of speedy development of a country. Ladies and gentlemen, through agriculture, environmental benefits such as sustainable management and renewal of natural resources, preservation of biodiversity, land conservation, as well as contribution to the development and viability of rural areas can be derived. At both micro and macro levels, the agricultural sector is strategically positioned to take a high multiplier effect on any nation's quest for socio and industrial development. Now, what has happened in the past? Pravin has referred to it. Well, let me just give a little detail. Nigeria had generated and put out a number of agricultural policies. What has happened? The first phase is called the post-independence era. I'm taking you back to the 60s, which Pravin had earlier on referred to, 60 to 69. During this time, agricultural development was essentially driven and controlled by the private sector, with limited government interventions, mostly in the areas of research and product marketing. Then the second phase. Was a period of intensive state control of agricultural activities. We're talking about 1970 to 1985. Centralization and control of input distribution and marketing at the federal level, establishment of several fertilizer plants, enactment of agricultural input subsidy, covering fertilizer seeds, herbicides, pesticides, and farm machinery, as well as services such as land clearing, tractor hiring, land development, irrigation, establishment of a national seed service, promulgation of the Land Use Act decree, launching of the agricultural development projects. The third phase is a period of agricultural adjustment program, SAP. All of you will remember SAP during the military era. And it was a period of guided deregulation. We are talking of 1986 to 1993, then 94 to 99. Then we experienced the subsidy withdrawal. That was the third phase. The fourth phase is classified as the new era of reform under a democratic government, 2000 to 2019, in which agricultural sector is more perceived to be market-oriented and private sector-led. However, it is to be noted that during this period, several agricultural policies, programs, and projects were implemented in the country, with many of them yielding little or no results when evaluated against the three broad policy categories, namely factor policies, commodity policies, and macro-related policies. Ladies and gentlemen, no doubt there were some achievements already enumerated by Reverend when he started this lecture. But I don't want to bore you with all that. I want to go to the major challenges facing the agricultural sector so that we know how to fix it. Inefficient synergy, limited access to quality inputs, and Indorama is striving very, very hard to ensure that inputs from that industry are of very high quality, so the farmers will have value for their money. Then there's the issue of weak linkages between agricultural research and training institutions, input providers, and farmers. There were attempts in the past to fix it with the putting in place of National Agricultural Research and Extension Services at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. The idea was actually to bridge the gaps between research and farmers, as well as training institutions. Then the low level of agricultural mechanization. You all have an idea of how many factories we have per unit area in this country. It's nothing to write home about. Yes, the current government is working towards bridging that gap. We've been told about the Brazilian connection. We're waiting for the takeoff of that project. Then the poor extension service delivery happens to be another issue. Inadequate rural infrastructure, limited access to affordable credits. That is a big one. Then inadequate funding to the agricultural sector, to agricultural research, and agricultural sector as a whole. What is the current budgetary allocation to agricultural sector? Less than 5%, far less than 5%, compared to the Maputo Declaration of 2003, that each country, each nation should allocate 10% of his agriculture, of his budget, annual budget, to the agricultural sector to also cover rural development. Then there's the issue of delay. There's the issue of misappropriation, lack of funds to purchase specific, all kinds of issues. And of course, finally, the inadequate technical advisory, essential services. I've mentioned that. There's also the inadequate monitoring and evaluation of government policies and programs. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, these are the issues. The way forward. The issue of cheap importation of food undermines domestic food production. It increases Nigerians' debt and inflation rates and increases poverty. We're seeing this now. So Nigeria should use import substitution to protect domestic farmers. And after the local food requirements are fulfilled, it should then export. Let us feed our TB population. When there are excesses, then we can export. Value addition is key it will help the country and more from export. An output quantitative ban should be placed and retained on the importation of virtually all food commodities, rice, wheat, maize, livestock products. It's unfortunate that this production right now is on the low side and is affecting the livestock industry. But it can be reasoned because there are so many disruptions as a result in the farms as a result of insurgency. Dry season farming should be encouraged. SK alluded to it in his presentation. There are less than 10% of the land areas committed to production committed to dry season farming. So much emphasis on rain-fed. That will not help us. The government should link agriculture to other sectors of the economy. This will bring about much desired diversification and as well as increase the contribute to industrialization. There should be an effort to identify and empower large targeted farmers as strategic food growers, encourage them with support. There's a need to address the problem of post-harvest storage, provide incentives for technological development in the agro industry. The agricultural policy process should be made open to stakeholders during the initiation period to give room for a better link participation of the populace in developing policies and as well as strategies. There is the urgent need for accountability. There's a need for transparency and efficient application of budgetary allocations in the agricultural sector to ensure that the required rural development, capital projects, especially agricultural and rural infrastructure, are efficiently provided. It's a long list, really, which probably I'll make available to you later. I'm just looking at the time allocated to me. Now, something to do with soil. Ladies and gentlemen, there's limited information about our soils, understanding of our soils in this country. The soil survey map that we have and fertility maps that we are currently using are all outdated. And if you don't have enough information about your soils, how do you manage them? Lack of information, sufficient information will lead to mismanagement. And you know the consequences where the soil is mismanaged. So there'll be a need for a detailed soil survey and soil fertility mapping. I'm aware, well, Indorama is aware of this. We're talking. I hope it would blossom to something very productive. I'm also aware that the Ministry of Agriculture is looking at this direction. There's a need for us to really pull our resources together to address the issue of our soils. So that I'm happy that Indorama has a very robust program, I've seen that, of soil testing as a basis for fertilizer application. This is very, very, very good. We would like to work with Indorama closely, in that area. When I say we, I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about the Nigerian Institute of Soil Science that has the mandate in this area. So, ladies and gentlemen, Indorama, I'm not sure you are aware of the new agricultural policy of this particular administration that is being put together. It is called the National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Plan, NATIP, 2021 to It has not been launched yet, but there's a draft document. It will be important. I'm hoping that it will be launched very soon. But before it is launched, we expect there will be a stakeholders a validation workshop where people will have an opportunity to contribute on the content of that policy, agricultural policy. Now, this is the Nigerian prospect for agricultural development. Talking about the issue of use efficiency, nutrient use efficiency. SK, you've already mentioned it. The need to control the nitrification of urea is key. Indorama is currently has put out some products that have been evaluated. It's called the urea, the neem oil coated urea, that will slow down the rate of microbial activities that lead to release of nitrogen, from the urea in the form of nitrate, into the soil solution for plants to take them up. It is one of the ways to ensure that farmers get value. Is one of the ways to take care of pollution. It's one of the ways to ensure that nitrogen is available for the crop throughout the growing period. So I commend you for that. I'm aware that this product of yours is being tested all over the country. Based on this multi-locational, I think after 1 year, let's have a workshop and look at the results. That you can get an approval to go ahead and market them. What you're doing is not too different from urea coated, which is already it's used in developed economies, but not here in Nigeria. So I commend you for subjecting this product to evaluation. Before taking it to the market, you are really complying with the laws of this country. What else? What other question did you ask?
Second is something ensuring the balanced use of fertilizer and specifically the micronutrient,
yes.
not
Absolutely.
the major micronutrient.
Yeah, balanced fertilization. Yes. If you look at the existing fertility map, because that's what we have currently, so we have to refer to it. Some parts of this country are low in micronutrients. Some are medium. Very limited areas, are high, particularly in Bora, but the micronutrients, and of course the secondary elements as well as the macro elements. You have different soil classes in different parts of the country. So crops can only thrive if you supply to it, just like a human being. If you supply to it what nutrients that are balanced. In areas where crops are grown, in areas where macronutrients are low and crops are grown, those crops don't grow to their genetic potential. Instead of 5 tons, you can get less than 1 ton. And even with the best variety. So through soil testing, there's a need to identify the nutrients that are lacking so that they are provided in the fertilizers that will be used. This is what we call crop and soil specific approach that is needed, so that a crop that has been put together by genetics, by breeders, will under such a condition will grow to its full potential. If it is made to, if the yield potential is 8 tons, you get, with good management, with enough rainfall, it should be able to give you up to 6-7 tons. And that will help farmers to remain in business. Apart from remaining in business, they will get value for their investment. And of course, ultimately boosts the food security of the country. We will produce enough and have excess for export. So I'm aware Indorama, I'm part of the team. It's evaluating some of these balanced fertilizers. And after 1 year, I think we should be able to come out with results that would come from part of the policy, the fertilizer, not the fertilizer policy as such, but at least fertilization policy, or part of the nutrient management, soil management policy of the country. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, Professor Chure, I have just a very little clarification. You mentioned in your talk like new agriculture policy. Recently, there is National Fertilizer Quality Control Act 2019 is already in place. So it will be different from the agriculture policy you are mentioning in your talk?
It is.
The agriculture policy, I have an outline here. The agricultural policy covers all sectors and subsectors of agriculture, from crops, livestock, fisheries, right? It's a robust document.
It's very comprehensive,
very comprehensive document. And I think it's, let's see, how many, close to 60 pages, but that's not the issue. The issue is that it covers all the value chains in agriculture, whereas the Fertilizer Quality Control Act policy, it's on fertilizer, addressing the issue of good quality fertilizer, consequences of marketing adulterated fertilizer. It covers the issue, the different types of fertilizer, organic, inorganic, biological fertilizers and all that, ensuring that it ensures that people don't rip off farmers, people don't adulterate the environment with adulterated fertilizers. That has consequences on the environment, also consequences on human beings, because it goes into the food chain and creates problems. So SK, these are two different documents.
Okay, thanks for clarification. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Chure, for taking the group journey of Nigerian agriculture.
Thank you.
And you have shown some challenges what the country is facing. And you also shown the path for everybody who is engaged in this process. So it is really, really enlightened thought you have given for us. And we are happy to hear that we are, as an Indorama, are heading towards really a kind of a direction the government, and as an academician or a researcher or a policy makers, you all are looking from us. So that is really a happy moment for us, that our effort is aligned with the country's objective and country's strategy. So thank you very much. And yeah, definitely we would be getting your support for ensuring that. So now I like to invite, and it is required to learn from the past experience. So if we see the Indian fertilizer industry has evolved over a period of time. That has also passed through all these challenges what Nigerian agriculture is facing at this stage. So I would like to invite Mr. B.B. Singh, who is having a vast experience in fertilizer industry in India. He is a pioneer even in formulating a number of policies in fertilizer sector in India. He is the person behind who has given the one concept of area and a crop specific fertilizer in India, what Professor Chude was discussing. So he was the founder member, he was something like initiator of the concept of customized fertilizer. So it will be good to hear his experience and incorporate that for ensuring the development of a Nigerian agriculture. And we would like to hear him and try to incorporate his thought in our strategies for a future development. Over to Mr. B.B. Singh.
Hi, greetings to all of you. So first of all, thank you so much, Praveen and SK, for giving me this opportunity to listen to eminent people like Dr. Chude. And Dr. Chude, thank you so much for giving a very good perspective about Nigeria. I have not visited Nigeria, but after listening to you, I feel like I am residing in Nigeria. So thank you very much. I would just take a lead from Dr. Chude's deliberation. And he made a very good point saying that, for development of Nigerian agriculture, it's very important that, good type of fertilizer and balanced use of fertilizer is important. So just a brief comment on that, in India, we use high yielding varieties. We call them high yielding varieties. Now, this is a job of, breeders to breed high yielding varieties, which are supposed to give high yield, as the name suggests. But when I went around China and studied what is the approach of research or the breeding research approach they adopt, they actually breed fertilizer responsive varieties. So there is a difference in the approach. More fertilizer, more yield. Whereas in India, the research approach is largely restricted to the traits which are responsible for high yield, not necessarily the fertilizer responsive varieties. So maybe this viewpoint can be further explored by the people who know the subject. I am a salesperson. I don't know whether I have been introduced to everybody. Name you said no, BB Singh, and I am currently working as Director Sales Marketing with another Indorama group of company. It is known as Indorama Fertilizer. Kokand is the name of the place in Uzbekistan, and I am based here. And we are operating a phosphate manufacturing facility. Very recently, last year only we acquired. Now it has just come into production. So with this opening thing, I just move on to the topic straight because there is a limitation of time. So I will talk first on the nutrient use efficiency and the experience which we had in India working in fertilizers industry for last 3-4 decades. When just before we talk about nutrient use efficiency, just to give you a global perspective, world over, nitrogen is the most used nutrient. We all know about it, and Nigeria is no different. So we are currently using about 109 million tons of nitrogen, not in terms of urea, it is in nitrogen nutrient terms. And about 46 million tons of phosphorus, which is in P2O5 terms. This is global numbers. And about 38 million tons of potash. So you can make out that it's almost potash and phosphorus, they are almost close to each other, maybe 1.5 times. And nitrogen is just double of that. So, and this phenomena is there wherever agriculture is happening. So very clearly, nitrogen is a yield determining nutrient, and therefore it has to be given more to the crop anywhere in the geography. Now, when we talk about nutrient use efficiency, the nitrogen is not a very good use efficient nutrient. It is about 30%. And in long duration crop, it goes up to 35%. When you look at phosphorus, it is about 15 to 20%, and potash, it is 60%. The one which we use least is the most efficient, and the one which we use maximum is less efficient. So that's the overall, and these are the data points which I am quoting from the science. Now, if you translate 1% use efficiency increase in nitrogen, it will be almost $360 million. So that means 1% increase can make a huge difference in nitrogen. If you can increase the use efficiency of nitrogen, that's the data point, another data point. Now there are different approaches to enhance the use efficiency of these nutrients. And when we say use efficiency of these nutrients, obviously you are aware that nitrogen is given through urea, through DAP, and through monoammonium phosphate, through ammonium nitrate, and phosphorus is given from DAP, MAP, then a single superphosphate and triple superphosphate. And potash is given from muriate of potash. So these are the sources of nutrient which are used commonly across the world. Now, when we start looking at how do we enhance the use efficiency of, let's say, nitrogen, so there are 3 different approaches which are adopted worldwide, and we scanned through documents, and whatever little experience I had working in India, I'll just try and share with you. So there is a chemical approach to it, and there is a biological approach to it, and third is the physical approach. So when we talk about chemical approach, it's basically using polymers to coat urea and reduce the water solubility of urea, thereby enhancing the use efficiency. So there are certain chemicals which are coated on urea, and this is used in some of the developed countries like US and Europe, and by this way it enhances the use efficiency of urea by 5 to 6%. So chemical approach 5 to 6%, but yes, it is costly. Urea becomes so costly that probably if your crop is not giving you adequate return, rather if your crop value in the marketplace is not good, then probably you may not be, it may not be economical to use such kind of fertilizer. So that, of course, as another subject, so I will not get into the details of that, but yes, it is a costly approach. When we say biochemical or biological, approach of enhancing the use efficiency, it is largely talking about nitrification inhibitors, like what Dr. Chude also mentioned, that neem coated urea, which is used widely in India, which you are also experimenting. So basically this is neem coating of that. So this is a biochemical approach, and it has a potential of increasing the use efficiency to the extent of 5%. Then there are nitropyrene, which is also a biochemical, which is used in US and very widely used in US, and it enhances the use efficiency to the extent of 5%. Then there are some urease inhibitors which are used in some countries. The urease enzyme, which actually starts mineralization of nitrogen from urea when it is applied to the soil, and urease enzyme is commonly found in soil across the world. So agrotane is one such product which is used in some of the European countries and also in New Zealand. We in India had carried out a lot of experiments. It has potential. And it is promising, and it is stated to increase 10% use efficiency of urea. So 10% is a lot. From 30-35% increase by 10%. So it has a huge potential. But our experiment showed that yes, it has potential, but 10% of course we could not get in the 2 seasons data which we conducted. Then there is a very interesting product, which of course is very, very new. And we experimented in India, that is potassium humate. Potassium humate or humic acid, which actually it is combination of humic acid and fulvic acid. And it has about 18% potassium and more than 12% carbon. And only thing is that when you coat potassium humate on granulated urea or let's say prilled urea, it will become black. So now the farmers, finding black urea, maybe, there could be sales issues, which you need to find ways and means to address that. But potassium humate as such does not enhance the use efficiency. Potassium humate is it is made of humus. Now humus is known to hold the nutrients. So whatever nitrogen gets released through the mineralization process in the soil actually is held by the humates and which is coated on urea. So that is how the use efficiency increases. And this is a low cost product. It's something similar to neem coating. So you may make an attempt while you are doing a neem coating. Potassium humate is another good idea to experiment with. And there is a lot of literature available from India. Although India, it is not very popular, but yes, this is something which you can. The popularity in India, of course, is because of so many other factors. So that should not be taken as the base, because if it is not popular in India, then it will not work anywhere. That should not be the, because in India, urea is subsidized to the extent of 75%. So farmers pay only 25% cost, 75 is borne by government. So therefore, any innovation in India will not work. So neem coating is also subsidized, therefore it is working. So in India, what works is what is subsidized. And if it is not subsidized, it doesn't work. So that is how in India, so Indian examples should not be taken on face value. So this was about biochemical. The third area is physical approach. Now in physical approach to enhance the use efficiency of urea or nitrogenous fertilizer, there are 3-4 approaches, 3-4 works which has happened, and it is interesting. It's basically, when we say physical approach, it's basically creating physical barriers to create a reducing situation in the soil moisture and controlling the solubility. So first technology in this is urea deep placement technology, UDP technology. Urea deep placement technology, we can have a separate session because it's a long subject, but just to briefly make a mention of it, that 3 gram size granules of urea is placed 6 to 8 centimeter below the soil surface, either manually or mechanically. And this one granule is sufficient to feed 4 plants of, let's say, paddy, which are placed at 20 centimeter into 10 centimeter apart. So 4 plants, sufficient nitrogen is provided by one granule, which is placed in the center. Now, this deep placement technology, we experimented in India. It is very popular in Bangladesh. And Bangladesh again has the same type of farmers as you have shown in Nigeria. So they can't afford to have fertilizers which are lower use efficiency. So they adopt to this UDP technology and benefit, and it has a potential to increase use efficiency to the extent of 15%. And we have got this result in India and very well validated, and we conducted large scale demonstration also. But again, because of subsidy and other things, it has not taken off in India, whereas just neighboring country Bangladesh, it is very popular. And Bangladesh farmers and Bengal farmers, they by profile and by their approach, they are similar. But Bangladesh, it is popular, but Bengal, it is not adopted because urea here is 75% subsidized. So which is not the case in Bangladesh. So therefore, it is not working here. But this is a good potential, and especially for the small farmers, increasing use efficiency of urea, which they are buying at a very high cost. It's a very good technology. I would strongly recommend it. And where the small farmings, probably family labor would be more used in this. And therefore, there is a chance that they will be able to use these granules manually by themselves. So this is this has a potential. The second one is sulfur-coated urea. Sulfur-coated urea in the Western world as well as in China, it is very popular. And this is also has a potential to increase use efficiency by more than 10%. And there is a patented technology to, coat sulfur, bring down the nitrogen content to the extent of 37-38%, and 11% sulfur is added. And that's how sulfur-coated urea is made. And then when it is used, it is actually a slow release nitrogen, which increases the use efficiency. Then next one is polymer coated urea. Again, like in chemical approach, here it is also falling into physical approach, where there are certain polymers which are used here. This is different from the chemical because there are especially a special type of polymers which are biodegradable in nature. Whereas when we said polymer coated urea in the first place in the chemical approach, they were not biodegradable. So that's why there is a difference. When we say physical approach, polymer coating is different from chemical approach polymers. And ESN, environmentally smart nitrogen. There is a product which is actually the biodegradable polymer, which is coated on urea, which makes it slow release. But again, this is costly. The fourth one is basically there are low cost items which can be coated on urea, which is zinc oxide, then phosphogypsum, neem and phosphogypsum in neem emulsion. It is coated on urea to increase. Now, here the urea use efficiency does not enhance because you are coating a product which will ensure increase. Actually, when you are coating zinc oxide on urea, it is the zinc availability which enhances nitrogen uptake. So this product as such is not enhancing the urea use efficiency, but because zinc is also a plant nutrient, therefore it is enhancing the nitrogen uptake from urea. So this we have to keep in mind. And then there are the category which Dr. Praveen was mentioning, the customized fertilizer. Now, customized fertilizer is nothing but it is a area and crop specific fertilizer. So when you are putting the right combination of nutrient together, the use efficiency of nitrogen go up. Like if enough phosphorus, potash is available, obviously the nitrogen uptake will also be accordingly. So the right combination is important. So here, as you rightly pointed out, that farmers are small, land holdings are small. So here idea is that instead of giving them the knowledge and telling them the technique, if you can give them ready to use product which is using the technique, that will work. So in small landholders, they normally have a resistance to understand the technology. The knowledge part, they don't understand so much. Recipe, they don't like. They want ready to use product. That means ready-made product to be given to them. So if you can put the nitrogen, phosphorus, potash in right combination, give it to them ready for use for crop specific, it will work. So, and it has a potential to increase the nitrogen use efficiency to the extent of 5 to 7%. And then There is a very old technique which was adopted in India, and it is very popular, and there is a scientific evidence also. Basically, urea application, whether it is granulated or prilled, it can be incubated in the soil before use. That means moist soil, like 50 kilogram of urea along with 50 kg of soil which has a moisture. Now this moisture should not be lumpy in nature. This moisture should be like field capacity. So field capacity level, if you can mix urea with the soil and keep it for 1 day, 24 hours or maybe 36 hours, and then spread in the soil, so all the ammoniation is arrested in the moisture which the soil has, and therefore use efficiency go up. So here the claim is 3 to 5% increase, which is a simple technique. You have to just educate the farmers that buy a bag of urea, go and incubate it before using it instead of using it direct. So this is another way of increasing the use efficiency of urea. Now, after talking about the urea use efficiencies or the nitrogen use efficiency, which we have just discussed, chemical, biological, and physical approaches, there are few concepts like site-specific nutrient management, then STCR, soil test crop response, then QEFT, quantitative evaluation of fertilizer for tropical soils, then a soil testing approach, IPNM, integrated plant nutrient management, crop rotation. Crop rotation has a very big role to play in in inserting a legume crop in the crop rotation, enhances use efficiency of all the fertilizer. Then conservative agriculture. Conservative agriculture is nothing but enhancing the humus in the soil by decomposing the plant parts which we are not harvesting, so the roots and all that. So these are the other concepts which we need to combine with chemical fertilizers, because combination of these concepts and approach right product will give you better use efficiency going forward. So I think I have more or less covered. Just the last point, that we apply fertilizer to the soil, and idea is that we want to apply it for the crops, not for the soil. And water moisture inside the soil is very critical for uptake of these nutrients. The other way to apply fertilizer is through water. When we say apply through water, it means drip irrigation or foliar application. So through drip irrigation also fertilizer can be applied. Through foliar application also fertilizer can be applied. In the soil, when you apply, either you apply as a basal application or you apply as a top application. That is, standing in the crop, you are spreading urea, reaching out to all parts of the field. If you analyze the application of, let's say, basal application, top application in the soil, or application of fertilizer as a drip irrigation, or in the foliar application case, water is the critical part for application of fertilizer, both in soil as well as in water. And water scarcity certainly is also there, because you have only 10% of area which is irrigated. So therefore, going forward, this is not going to increase. It is going to rather decrease, because as the population pressure increases, the water availability will be scarce. So considering that, going forward, you have to adopt an approach which should be linked to water conservation and better use of water for fertilizer application. Now, therefore, in small farms, micro irrigation is another way of enhancing the use efficiency, where it is stated by the scientists that use efficiency in drip irrigation and foliar application is the best, and it goes up as high as 90%. So and ultimately, when you are applying the fertilizer through the water, through the controlled water mechanism, the customization of the nutrients which you apply to the crop becomes very, very important. So all put together, whatever I have been talking for last few minutes, all put together, it is indicating that a customization of fertilizer application is the way forward. So whether you do it through soil testing approach, or you do through soil fertility maps, or you do through experiences, but customization going forward is the way forward in this, and which is important for enhancing the use efficiency. Whether you customize it by way of urea deplacement, or do sulfur coating or neem coating, customization in some form is important. I think that's what I had to share in this forum. If there are any questions and controversies, I would be very happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. B.B. Singh. It is he's well-known doctor in Indian community without having a PhD degree. So now I think the floor is well aware that why people used to call him a scientist, or a scientist linked to the ground. So yes, it was a really enlightening thought, and yeah, we got a lot of leads also. And I'm sure that Professor Chude also appreciate the way we are working, and the way you have described the whole concept of this efficiency. And yeah, even what I can foresee that you can be a good resource for contributing for Nigeria's policy making, especially the fertilizer. So thank you very much. And I like to inform Dr. Batiano, who is a Africa Food Prize winner, with some of his urgent engagement. He is not able to attend today's session, but he has just communicated his message that we all are working for the same cause, and he's always with us. So with this thought, now the floor is open for a discussion, whatever we heard from both the speakers, and we also have many personalities from different fields. So I request all of you to maybe contribute for what the speakers has said, or you can bring absolutely new prospect for us. So any of the participants or any of this the joinees or invitees, if they have any question or any suggestion for us, they can just come up forward, and they can raise their hand and ask their question. Meantime, maybe I can ask Dr. Chude to comment on what Mr. B.B. Singh has given the prospect of Indian fertilizer industry, or Indian context of how we just took the fertilizer industry from one stage to the other stage. So it will be good if Dr. Chude can just share his thought on Mr. B.B. Singh's thought-provoking talk. So whatever is we can learn out of his experience, it will be a good for our country. Yeah, Professor Chude.
Yeah, right, Prophet. I salute B.B. Singh. I doff my cap for him. He reminded me those days when we used to be students, listening to very seasoned professors, talk to us. Issues, yes. India and Nigeria are both we are identical in so many ways. Third world countries. India is more populated, than Nigeria. There's no doubt. We have a lot to learn from India, because India is feeding its entire population. Yes. The technologies B.B. Singh raised, we are very familiar with them.
Yes.
The super granules, we use them in rice fields,
yes,
and very, very efficient.
Yes.
The crop rotation, yes. The staggered application, basal, then top dressing, all of them add to nutrient use efficiency. So what I'm sure he has written so many books on this issue, so I'm not surprised. You know.
No, I am not. I am a salesperson, doctor.
We will work with you.
Okay.
Pravin is listening. We'll work with him to assist Indorama, help this country to get out of poverty.
Sure.
Through efficient, to also take care of our environment.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm very, very familiar with everything he said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Okay, sir.
That's great. So I see that Bello have some suggestion or some input for us. So yeah, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
I want to thank you for inviting me to this forum, and it's been a very interesting discussion. I salute Mr. Singh. Thank you for that very expository discussion. One thing that becomes so clear to me from learning from you, I think the fertilizer industry, I mean, talking about farmers, I think we need to do more work teaching the farmers on the use of fertilizer. And when I mean use, I mean effective use of fertilizer. We have a technical committee headed by Professor Chudi, and I think that is the way to go. I mean, talking about the release of nitrogen, different methods of release of nitrogen, and trying to increase the efficiency of the release of nitrogen. I think it's something we need to really explore, because we know that a lot of farmers, their level of education might not be that great, but we may need to intensify more effort in that area of trying to make them know that there's a better way of utilizing this fertilizer. There had been this academic work on the low rate of fertilizer used in Nigeria, and I've been wondering, yeah, there's a low rate, but there can be a more efficient way of using that even low rate of fertilizer. I'm hearing the very simple technical method that you're using in India, that is incubating the fertilizer. This is the first time I'm hearing it, and I've never seen it being used in Nigeria. I believe that simple, very simple technology, we may need to teach our farmers so that we get better output from whatever little they use. We know that farmers at times find it very difficult to be able to because of their to be able to buy some of this fertilizer. What I mean is their cost capital outlay. They may be able to only afford very limited number, but that limited number should be maximized for better yield. That is the level where we are in Nigeria, and I think that we need to really intensify this as a ministry, because I work in the Federal Ministry of Agri and in charge of the fertilizer department in the ministry. I believe that we should not just be talking about the production of fertilizer alone. We should also put more emphasis on the utilization. And I think we need to really work with Indorama and other players in this area to begin to look at this area very critically, educating farmers and ensuring that farmers knows how to get the best out of this. I salute my Professor Chudi, who had been the forerunner of this, and his presentation was good, and he's been able to capture all that we do in the nation, and we are drumming up this Fertilizer Act seriously. The implementation of the Act, we are taking it like we are taking the bull by the horn, trying to ensure that fertilizer is not adulterated. The right quality is gotten. People don't adulterate it. People get the right nutrients. But in doing this, we need to also tell them how to get the best out of what they are buying. I think this is an area that I believe we should be able to work with a lot of these players. Thank you. I'll just stop at this point for now.
Yeah, thank you, Sibelu. And yeah, we agree on your thought, and it is really, really good that we are, means whatever way we are contributing, we are trying our best. And thanks for putting your thoughts here. And you are the person who is driving force at the ministry level. And yes, we can say that with your means deliberation and your effort, definitely the result is not so far, and we all are going to be a part of that success. So thank you very much. We will go to Aisha. Yeah, Dr. Aisha, you can unmute. Yeah.
Good afternoon to you all.
Very good afternoon.
Yes, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk, and I want to congratulate Professor Chude and BB Singh for their very insightful presentation. However, I want to just add a little bit on this discussion, and that is on the country's policy on the fertilizer use. I think I would like Professor Chude to give us a more insight about that. And why I'm saying this is because I've been on the field, and I learned, or I heard farmers complaining in the last season that the fertilizer cost for the NPK 15-15-15 was too high, and the government subsidized fertilizer was the 20-10-10. And with this fertilizer coming out, and I don't know if there had been some extensive extension or training on how this fertilizer is going to be used by the common farmers, because the farmers complained about the use of the 20-10-10 and the results it was giving them on their field, and they were not quite happy about that. So I would like to hear about the policy and why the 20-10-10 was subsidized as against what the farmers were used to with respect to the use of the compound fertilizer 15-15-15. Nevertheless, the smallholder farmers actually have a very low efficiency in fertilizer use. We all agreed that our soils are poor and they need to be fertilized in order to get maximum production. And that is one way of enhancing the agricultural productivity of the country. Once you have good production that you have for self-security as well as excess for export, that will enhance or improve the sector, that is what is needed. But the use efficiencies of these fertilizers are usually very low. And this is to go a long way in the way the farmers are applying these fertilizers. Like in the past, we had quite a nice discussion with the Indorama people on the principles of the 4 R's, which the Mr. BB Singh was trying to talk about, using the deep placement and using the right fertilizers and even coating the fertilizers to reduce the release of this nitrogen and their losses to the environment. So I want to stress the fact that these the farmers need to be trained and need to be educated on how to use fertilizers, especially those that are being subsidized by the federal government. And for the research institutions, I am from the research institute. Even in our institution, there were some scientists that were having difficulties with obtaining the straight fertilizers to use for their experiment. I know Professor Chude helped us a lot in securing some of these straight fertilizers, but the use efficiencies and the way to use these fertilizers has to be advocated before it's being subsidized for farmers. I have a lot of things to discuss, but I don't want to take a lot of time because of the other participants. Maybe given the chance in the next round of discussion, I can see more on some of the things I want to discuss, but this is just the first step of the discussion. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I think Professor Chure want to respond on that.
Let me give an opportunity to my director of the Farm Input Support Services, Engineer Bello, on the policy issue. Then I'll talk about the issue of quality with respect to 2010, why farmers were complaining. Engineer Bello.
Thank you very much,
You want to talk about why government decided to subsidize 2010 as against other products, and you know.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Madam Aisha, the reality is that it was there was an idea that there's need to subsidize fertilizer, and there has to be an agreement on which type of there has to be a choice of what is the best option of which type of fertilizer to be subsidized. And so the government decided to go for 2010 and to produce this 2010 for farmers across, you know, the different value chains, especially the major value chain that are in the forefront. You will realize that most of the time the government usually support rice, maize, sorghum, and so the choice was to produce 2010 for farmers across board for utilization. However, it was anchored by a committee known as Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, which gave blenders the right to blend this particular fertilizer, and they also at that time monitored the quality of the fertilizer. That's the much I think we can say now. So the fertilizer given to the farmers were blended by different blending plants. The quality at that time was monitored and ensured that it was the right quality by the PFI. But in going forward, that scenario has changed because the NFQC, that is National Fertilizer Quality Act, had been signed now. And we in the department are going to ensure that whatever is produced, the quality will be measured. That's not to say that what they gave out, I'm not saying what was given out earlier, because you are saying the farmers were not able to get what they expected. We believe in going forward, that might actually be looked into very closely. I think that's the much I can say about it. Thank you, Professor Chudi, please.
Okay, thank you, my director. Preference for 2010. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're there, okay. You all know that 15-15-15 is compared to 2010, the nitrogen in 15-15 is lower. And because the target of the Nigerian government during this last year and a few years, 2 years ago or so, that fertilizer was subsidized and the price brought to 5,500, is to support, like the director said, the production of cereal crops. So, and for cereals, the requirement of nitrogen is very high. So to make it more productive for farmers, more valuable, government went for 20 instead of 15, 20-10-10. It is not to say that the 20-10-10, because the unfortunate thing is 20-10-10 was all over the country. whether it's needed in a particular area or not. Hey, take 2010. That was the best thing to do. So, but then it was a policy with Dr. Bello, Engineer Bello being at the helm of affairs in the fertilizer department, and that department working with Nigerian Institute of Soil Science is going for crop and soil specific, not just anything. In 2030, you take it to Port Harcourt, whether it is needed or not, that's what government has. So farmers had to complain. One, because that fertilizer did not fit their soil. Secondly, some of the fertilizers were adulterated. Probably not at the factory price, but because fertilizer was so, the demand for fertilizer was so high. Along the chain, some people had to, to rip off farmers, adulterated the fertilizer with gypsum, not even gypsum. Gypsum, it has some nutrient, but with all kinds of extraneous materials, just to rip off farmers. At the time it happened, let's not forget, yes, the Fertilizer Quality Control Act was signed into law in 2019. The department was still putting things together to make sure that that law that has teeth to bite is used efficiently. It cannot happen again. It cannot happen again. When I say it cannot happen again, the issue of people adulterating fertilizers are walking to the bank, smiling to the bank, and ripping off farmers, and then destroying the soil should be a thing of the past now, under the leadership of, considering the leadership of Dr. Bello, Engineer Bello, in the fertilizer department of farm input. So that department is working with law enforcement agents to enforce the law. So Aisha, we're hoping that moving forward, things will change, particularly the aspect that has to do with producing fertilizers that are balanced and fertilizers that are needed by specific crops in specific environment. I'm happy that Indorama is doing something. The Indorama products, the balanced fertilizers being produced, and the urea coated with neem oil, it's undergoing. Aisha, I'm sure you are involved in that study as well.
Yeah.
In the next season, we'll have results to share, and farmers will be taught how to use these fertilizers. I also want Indorama, like the BBC said, produce super granules that is very, very, very cost effective, particularly for rice fields. If you put a super granule at the middle of four plants, it serves all the plants there. So that would be helpful. And again, the sulfur coated, look at that area. Sulfur is expensive, but sulfur is needed in the savanna soils, highly needed. Even the zinc, which is zinc oxide, zinc is also low in the savanna, so things are going to turn around for the better for the farmer. Thank you, Aisha. Well done.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that.
Yeah.
I know about the fertilizer, the adulteration and other things that which may be part of why the farmers are complaining. But what I'm worried a bit about is because for quite some time, extension on the use of fertilizers had been focused on 15-15-15, and then without a proper knowledge
Dr.
of
Aisha,
using the
Dr. Aisha, if you can just hold for a moment, so because other guys are also in queue, so
okay.
If we can just allow them to speak, and then we can come back to you if you allow.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'll go to Abu Bakar Sadiq. He's just something like keep waiting for a long duration. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I want to congratulate all the various speakers for elaborated speeches. And equally want to congratulate Indorama for hosting this brainstorming meeting, which is commendable. I am the Director General of Sokoto Agricultural Development Project, SADP Sokoto. I want to talk about what Professor Chid Victor have said about the outdated data of soil mapping. I want to inform him that here in Sokoto, to some extent, in collaboration with ICP's, this OCP, we were very much in control of the soil, what we have, the real soil mapping here in Sokoto. And equally, that to some extent now our farmers knows the best agricultural practice on the usage of the fertilizer, either 2010 or urea. And because of the awareness, because of the retraining and training we are giving them, we have the lead farmers that we use these lead farmers to educate our teaming farmers on the best agricultural practice on the usage of the fertilizer. Equally, I want Indorama to look beyond marketing of their product, but a way of training and retraining of extension agents who are very close to the farmers, so that the Indorama product will be well accepted by this farmers. Oh my God, Indorama is so for long, but because of a lack of awareness, people doesn't patronize the product as supposed to be. They have a very good product, but because of the lack of awareness, I'm happy the new guidelines. So to this end, I want to congratulate Indorama, and I ask them to keep it up for this wonderful brainstorming meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And it's a good thought that we should also, because we have been training the farmers and we have been targeting to build the skill set of the farmers. And you have rightly said that extension worker is really an important chain in that. So maybe we can just think so, and we'll develop some program for them also. Now I'll go to Nigerian. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing right way or Nigerian. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to the speakers for the very nice presentations and comments and inputs that we have from the other people in this meeting. There's an observation that I want to make. I mean, I do believe also from, if you hear to Mr. B.B. Singh's presentation, of course there are some technical solutions really. And all the points have been highlighted, but the idea is still what I feel is that people still talk from the idea. Okay, if you get the technical solution right, and if you customize it, and it's site specific and crop specific recommendations, it will work, and we can increase the fertilizer use efficiencies. I think one of the big problems that we are overlooking is that in Nigeria, for quite larger part in Nigeria, I mean, the soils are actually quite degraded, and it's not just a matter of getting the balanced nutrients of the nutrients in a balanced way only. I mean, the problem starts really here, where we have our agronomic efficiency actually being quite low. We see actually that the Nigerian farmer is quite willing to actually use fertilizers, but they are discouraged in a certain way, because in the end they don't get the returns from the input. And there have been nice studies done actually in Nigeria from Liverpool Tassi that actually shows that farmers are quite willing to, I mean, and many places they are using up to the 50Ks. That was 50K of nutrients supplied to the soil. But that indeed what agronomic efficiencies are not good enough. One of the problems really is in terms that we do see a lot of variability in terms of on farmers' fields, and not only in farmers' fields, but we do also find it in our own agronomic trials, validation trials, that there is enormous variability in terms of the yields that you are getting, even if you put those fertilizers there. So that means that we have, and it is partly because I do think that we have a lot of soils that are quite sandy, with a sandy texture, very low in soil organic carbon. They have low cation exchange capacity, so there is little to hold those nutrients in the soil. Rainfall events are often quite heavy, so we have rainfall events that are spread out and falling quite heavy, so we have a lot of loss of nutrients and especially probably, but also the other ones that are being lost from the soil. And as I say, if you want to come up with a fertilizer that has been accepted, or I mean that is working, we need to first look at the conditions that we can stabilize the yields or the production on farmers' fields. I mean, we have done, and I certainly believe that we have to look at better balanced fertilizers. I mean, we have done our own trials quite extensively in Nigeria, where we just by getting a proper formulation done of your basal fertilizers, that you can increase yields by on average by 15–20%. And that is already, that will be just the margin where actually the farmers will make a profit. But the issue is that too many farmers, because we have such a spread in yield and the variability, that even in that case there are a lot of farmers who will lose out. I mean, the risks of applying and getting a proper return, the risk of actually losing your investments are too high. So it requires really a little bit more comprehensive approach that we can stabilize. Maybe we should target those areas. Maybe we should target farmers and the areas where we know that the return is actually possible, rather than going by the idea that every farmer should start using fertilizers.
Yeah, thank you. It's a really a thought process which we need to incorporate definitely. And until and unless we get the result, it is a wasteful effort. So definitely we need to be a result-oriented and a focused one. So thank you very much, Nigerian. I will go to Muhammad Awal. He just something like raise his hand, so we miss him because he has not raised hand using technology. So that's how we miss you. Sorry for that. Yeah. So go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. President. Thank you for the organizing this very important interaction, and thank you also invited speakers for making a very lively contribution. Now, I would like to say that yes, we have had a number of challenges with Nigeria's agriculture, but also there are a lot of opportunities. And these opportunities are really opening up the markets for the fertilizer industries. In the last 10 years, government has made deliberate efforts to open up the fronts for agriculture. And that's why we're having a lot of influx of investment from various parts of the world. And lands are opened up. A lot of lands are being opened up. There's increased intensification and extensification of agriculture in Nigeria. But just like Aisha mentioned, yes, farmers have a lot of concern with the 2010-10, which is also not really an opportunity for the urea industry, because the NPK 1515 is more compatible with the urea industry. And I'm sure in the urea markets will do better with the NPK 1515 industry. Today in the markets, if you give farmers a choice between 2010-10 and NPK 1515, no matter how much, today there's a company, I don't want to mention the company, whose product of 1515 sells as much as 20,000 naira. Farmers go for that product of NPK 1515 at 20,000 naira as against the 2010 at 5,000 or 6,000 naira. As a scientist, I am an agronomist. The 1515 is more flexible. For example, maize, the recommendation is 120 kgN, 60 kg P2O5 and 60 kg K2O, the blank, the general application. Nitrogen is split applied. Phosphorus and potassium are applied basal. When you use 15-15-15, it's more balanced. It gives you the half of nitrogen and the whole of P and K, and then you subtract with urea. But when you use 20-10-10, already the N and P and K are tied in the ratio of 2 to 1 to 1. So if you want to make complete application, then you have to make first application 20-10-10, second application 20-10-10. That's when you balance the fertilizer. And this also agrees with horticulture. Most horticultural crops, the N, P, and K are in the ratio generally for 2 to 1 to 1. And so when you use 20-10-10 to balance up the fertilizer, the second application must be 20-10-10, and that's not good enough for urea. But when you use the 15-15-15, because nitrogen is split applied, so the N, P, and K are applied uniformly at the ratio of 1 to 1 to 1, and then you address the balance of nitrogen with urea. So it also opens up the opportunity to use urea. And so I support what farmers are doing, because it's NPK 15-15 is more flexible and it allows better manipulation of fertilizer on the field. That's one. Second, I suggest that because the markets, I believe farmers are interested in using fertilizer because they see the dividend of fertilizer. So really, just as last one speaker said, farmers are using much more than what is being reported. No matter how much the fertilizer costs in the market, once they are sure there's quality, they'll go for it. And the farmers know that when they're using rice, when they're using wheat, when they're using tomato, when they are growing wheat, crops that require fertilizer, they go for the fertilizer. So fertilizer, farmers are used to fertilizer, farmers are interested in buying fertilizer. What I suggest is that you try to maintain quality, because there's a lot of adulteration in Nigeria. What I suggest Indorama should do is to, because Indorama has opened up a lot of opportunities in the market, they are all over, they are doing a lot of promotions, they are doing a lot of campaign, they are promoting their products. Please sustain that effort and maintain quality. But another way to improve your selling point is to make sure that you seal your bags in such a way that, because adulteration comes in two forms, either by putting up other products, which is not very common with urea because of the nature of the color of the grains. But what marketers do is to open up the bags, take away some quantities of the fertilizer, and then seal up. Now, when you make seals that and you promote that, if this also seal is not there, then that bag is not full 50 kg, it has been tampered with. Because there are products that once it is sealed in a way that if it is tampered with, anybody can see. So make your bags with those seals so that I market it, promote it, so that anybody that buys the fertilizer without that seal, that farmer knows that the bag has been tampered with, because that's the only way farmers can be helped. Otherwise, these marketers open up, remove some quantities, and then seal back. Now, thirdly, I would like to say that there is need for you to fortify, because this is also additional value. Fortification, like with micronutrients and what have you, this will add value to your area. For example, groundnut, there's increased use of application of gypsum, which carries calcium at flowering stage. Now, we know that application of calcium at flowering stage in groundnut helps in podding, helps in the quality of the kernel, and so on. I'm not saying that you combine with gypsum, but you fortify. There are some micronutrients that can be added to your urea so that it will add value. Micro or macronutrients that can be added, it will add value to your products. I think these are the few things I will say. But also, I don't know your plans for NPK, because there are a number of fertilizer industries that are combining urea and also producing NPK, because NPK sells a lot. Farmers use 2-3 times the quantity of urea they use on their crops. So if you can open up opportunities, that will also help your industry. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Wal. Good points. There's something here about adulteration, something about the groundnut requirement and fortification of the fertilizer. So the the force behind this whole event. Our team leader is also with us, so Mr. Jindal will elaborate more on that point. But I'll go to Professor Amina. Can you just unmute yourself and share your thought because you raised your hand?
Yes. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are very well hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I must confess that I've been enjoying the brainstorming. Excellent contributions from Professor Chude and Dr. Vivi Singh and others contributors also. I'm actually representing the Center for Dryland Agriculture, which is one of the Africa Centers of Excellence. And my director, Professor Jibrin M. Jibrin, is a soil scientist, and he has been involved in several projects with different partners. At the center level, we have collaborated with OCP, and we're working with TAT now under the TAT project. We're doing some activities actually as far as soil is concerned. And through one of the collaborations with IETA, the nutrient expert kit was actually developed. And I know that with OCP, we have done some soil testing around Nigeria. So that's one of the things I want to actually ask, as emphasized by Professor Chude, is the issue of soil mapping, which he said is outdated. I think there is a need for Indorama to actually look at this thing, because fertilizer should be applied as per the requirement. And if we have this requirement, I think it's going to a long way to help farmers. And I don't know, from the issue of availability, you see, last year, just like what Dr. Aisha mentioned, even us at center level, you know, we're looking at fertilizer at a point, but we couldn't get until later. And when we got it at a higher cost, I don't know, is it the issue of supply? Because there's a lot of demand for fertilizers in the market. Is it that the supply is not meeting demand? And what is actually the problem? How is it possible for farmers to have access to this fertilizer at the right time? You know, I'm emphasizing on the right time because you see that sometimes the fertilizers will come and it's late for the farmers. So I don't know what Indorama is actually doing so that farmers can have access to the fertilizer at the right time. Just like Professor Awal Hussein mentioned, that farmers, as far as they are sure of the quality of the fertilizer, sometimes don't care about the cost. They can invest in buying fertilizer, but the accessibility is actually a problem. So in terms of sensitization also, I think farmers need to be aware that Indorama has this quality fertilizers. And I know that Indorama is also into a lot of demonstration, extension activities, but I think there is need for them to also liaise with many NGOs and other companies that are promoting other commodities. And if they can liaise with and partner with some of these institutions, for example, I know that Seed for Change is promoting improved seed for horticultural produce. They are doing a lot in Kano, and they have demonstrations here and there. Is there the possibility of Indorama partnering with this organization, for example, and also include their fertilizer in some of this demonstration? I think it will go a long way in sensitizing and making farmers aware of their produce. Thank you very much. I will not take much of your time.
Thank you, Dr. Amin. It is a little short of time, so we have two participants who just want to speak. So I'll allow first Engineer Bello to, maybe he's going to respond on the question, and then maybe we'll go with Malami, and after that we'll go back to our the force behind this whole initiative and force behind all Indorama initiative, Mr. Jindal, who will just something like maybe fulfill or satisfy some of the question and requirement raised by. So over to Engineer Bello.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I actually want to react to some of the statements being made, the observations being made by the last two speakers. about farmers buying fertilizer at any price. Yes, they do buy fertilizer at any price, but please, I want us to have this at the back of our mind in this forum that it is because they have no choice. And we should be very careful about the fact that, because we believe as government that, which is why one of the reasons why the government is trying to subsidize fertilizer, a lot of fertilizer, I mean, rural farmers don't have the capability of being able to buy this product. So we need to be sure that it is within their reach. And because when they buy it at the end of the day, it ends up on our table. The prices end up in our pockets a lot of time. So please, I just wanted to just put that in the right perspective, that in whatever we think of, we should look at how to make sure that they have the best and the best output from whatever we do. And I'm very, and I appreciate Indorama in this area. They always make their things as transparent as possible. We've had discussions with them on this area, and they have been very transparent, you know, in exactly how they do their things. And it has been a very good collaboration. However, we should have at the back of our mind that farmers, yes, they need this fertilizer, but buying it at just any price will end up increasing the cost of food items in the country, which is what this discussion is all about, trying to make sure that there is more food and better agricultural production in the country. Please, I just thought I should put that on the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. And now we will go to Malami. I can see somebody has raised a hand. Yeah, I can't see properly. It's a Samsung Galaxy, so maybe you can just unmute yourself and speak.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can. You go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm happy to be part of this meeting, and I want to congratulate the presenters for a very good presentation. And in fact, it's very educative and enlightening. To concur with my program manager who has just spoken, here in Sokoto State, the nitrogen capacity of our soils is very low. And that is why we went into collaboration with OCP Africa, as you rightly mentioned. That is in form of conducting mobile soil tests to determine the nutrient capacity of our soils, so as to know the way forward in advising our farmers appropriately in terms of starting midnight or reading all day, you've been tired, exhausted, preparing. In Dr. Tunde's submission with regards to the challenges of agriculture, I feel the major problem of agricultural production in Nigeria is lack of. However, if your journey is continuing on and there's no one else coming together, then even if the government is to provide all the inputs like fertilizers, agrochemicals, seeds, and all that to the farmers, without farmer education on the usage of these good agricultural practices, the aim will not be achieved. But if there is a very good extension service delivery in place, I think higher productivity will be attained in this country, and as such, the food security will be enhanced. That is why I feel maybe if the Indorama company can go into collaborations with all the ADPs across the countries who has the mandate of extension service delivery, in terms of training and retraining of extension staff and farmers, I think the Indorama company will one way achieve its aim, and in another, the country will benefit so much and increase in productivity. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we are aligned with your thought process, and we are just putting our effort. So we'll take another, I don't know the name because it is reflecting Samsung Galaxy. So you can unmute yourself and go ahead. President, and wherever you are. Is one.
Hello, it's Professor K.O. Oluwashemire. I think you have the floor, sir. You have the floor.
You have to unmute yourself and just speak. You need to unmute yourself. We can't. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. We are not getting. Yeah.
I have done that. Thank you. I want to commend all participants and all those who have made delivery, and it's been very enlightening. I'm from the southern part of the country, and I want you to know that first, for Indorama, there's need for you to do some smaller packaging of your products.
Okay.
There are farmers at different levels, and sometimes even transportation from the point of purchase to the farm could be an issue. So if you have your products packaged in like the 10 kg, 15 kilograms, and not totally in the 50 kilogram bags, that could also enhance, and maybe that will also assist with the issue of adulteration and also wastage or even pricing that farmers may not be able to afford. The other aspect I would want to contribute to is the use efficiency, really. There's need for serious linkage with extension with the producer. The extension arm in some government cycles is probably moribund. I know in the southern part of the country, most ministries, the extension arm is nearly non-existent. And probably where there lies some hope now is the private participation in extension. I'm involved with the Sasakawa Global 2000 extension arm. And we have group of farmers, we have clusters, and we've intervened in the area of rice. And there's been tremendous impact of the displacement urea, the displacement.
It looks like his network is little poor. So what we can do, maybe it is something like time is exceeded. We are exceeded by almost 10 minutes. So we need to.
I know in the case of Ondo State,
I think your network is little weak. So we will definitely get an opportunity for these type of sessions in future also. I excuse EPSN who has raised a hand because we are already short of time. We have overshooted by 10 minutes. I request now the force behind this whole initiative, the whole the initiative done by Indorama. So our CEO, Mr. Jindal, is with us, and I'll invite him to share his thoughts and the way forward for the future and the company strategy, what we are working on. And yeah, so over to Mr. Jindal.
Thank you, Mr. Praveen. And I'd like to make a correction. All the initiative and all the efforts behind this bringing together all the participants and speakers to today's session is done by Mr. Praveen and his team. So there was
Thank
no
you
role.
very much. But ultimately, the force behind the whole initiative is you only.
But it's truly a very commendable initiative, and we highly appreciate and thank each and every participant who have contributed with their knowledge, with their wisdom, and we have received a lot of advice from each of esteemed speaker. I think this is for us has been a first experience that the pandemic allowed us to reach out to the experts in this field, in the agriculture field, through this medium, which has made it easier to reach out to people sitting in Sokoto, etc. And the most important is that it provides a great opportunity for each one of us to listen to every alternate view. And through this mechanism, yes, it turns out to your brainstorming session, as Mr. Praveen briefed me the overall objective of this session. And I heard the speakers one after another. Some were speaking from a government perspective, from the initiatives the government has taken over the years and the failures of the government happening in bringing the necessary momentum and necessary to act as the requisite facilitator for the growth of fertilizer industry. And we fully align with the speaker, Mr. Chude, especially in that regard. And Mr. SK did talk about that the real potential of the country is close to 3.5 million tons of fertilizers. And that is based on the studies done by the World Bank. And this 3.5 million ton actually can be 7 million tons if the country follows the basically true crop system. Most of the farming in the country is only a single crop system because of the complete absence of the irrigation system. So one of the biggest requests from my side to the government is that they have to invest very heavily into irrigation farming, because the land size of Nigeria is not sufficient to support the very high as well as very fast growing population of Nigeria. The current population of Nigeria stands as 200 million people. We highly appreciate the government's initiative in trying to encourage more and more farmers to start farming. But yes, I think a large part of the country's land which is available is more than 50% is already being under farming. The real effort needs to be done from the government side, making more land available for farming, as well as investing heavily into irrigation, providing water facilities so that the country can do 2 crops in a year. What that would mean is that every farmer having a plot of land, a hectare of land, is able to immediately double his income, and the country will also able to double their produce. For me, the highest return the government can get in achieving their goal of making the country self-sufficient in food production is to invest in farming heavily, starting with irrigation facilities. Automatically, when irrigation is there, as Professor B.B. Singh said, that India is completely dependent on hybrid varieties of seed to enhance the yields from every hectare of the land. And that is feasible, possible only when we have a reliable source of providing water to crops. Otherwise, if there's insufficient water is there, these high yielding varieties are also, they're highly risky in terms of they scum. They fail also if they don't get the requisite nutrition in the form of water, air, as well as requisite fertilizers. So this is all an equation which needs a very high level of support from state government and federal government to make the country self-sufficient in food production. And we look forward to playing our part in terms of making the fertilizer available to every nook and corner of the country. I hear one of the last speakers talking about a suggestion to make the fertilizer urea available in smaller bags. Yeah, we take that on board, but the point is that urea is not something which is easily adulterable. What you will adulterate it with, it's easily visible. It's NPK, which is very easy to adulterate with other materials, cheaper materials. So once you see the granules, if any other thing is mixed into it, it's easily visible. And currently, it also provides a way of living for thousands and thousands of small retailers who buy like 5 or 10 bags of urea, and they go to the open market and then start selling in small quantities, 5 kg, 10 kg. That provides them a great opportunity for making like a 500 naira, 1000 naira for their own living. So when a big manufacturer like Indorama comes into the play, it's not only the company produces and delivers directly to the farmer. It's not possible. There's a whole chain of people who facilitate the ultimate delivery of the urea to the farmer. And that's how the country's economy gains, by providing livelihood to thousands of people throughout the chain. And that also increases the country's buying capacity. The same people will then be buying food from the same farms producing those foods to which they supplied the fertilizer. So it's a cycle, it's a chain. So if we have these kind of initiatives coming from big industries, the country will move forward in terms of the economic growth much faster than what we are seeing today. So once again, we thank you very much, each and every participant. We'll note down your recommendations and suggestions, and where we believe that we can make a difference, especially in terms of providing training for the our frontline agronomist, and we can also cover state agronomist into that training programs. We'll be very happy to do that. And just to let you know, Indorama has planned to open training centers across the country. We are going to call it Indorama Training Centers, or Indorama Farming Excellence Centers. So we may cover into 4 states in the country, and then those trainings are going to provide it all absolutely free to all the participants who are going to come and like to attend those trainings. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and special thanks for giving your time on the weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jindal, about, we are doing our bit. And with those, I really like to convey my sincere thanks to both the speaker, eminent speakers, Dr. Chude and Mr. B.B. Singh, for sparing his time, for giving us direction and at least the thought for our own strategy. Nevertheless, also all participants from different sectors. So it is kind of we had people from research background, we had people from ministry, and then research and academic institutions. So I really like to convey from bottom of our heart for giving your valuable time for contributing for the development of a Nigerian agriculture. And yes, we are open to hear you and get your comments and suggestions, because you all are connected. We all are connected through our electronic channel, the emails. So you can drop a mail whenever you feel like giving any kind of input. I really extend my sorry to those who are not able to speak. Even one, I think, yeah. So we'll definitely going to organize these type of events in future also, and we will hear you and give an opportunity to take your views for our common agenda and a goal. So once again, thank you on behalf of Indorama for sharing your valuable time. And we are going to achieve the common objective of Nigerian agriculture development in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Prabhu.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Singh. Maybe Singh. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.